Jim,
Yep.
I know you fought in the Garden before, and you fought recently there too. But we've talked before, and I know how much more New Jersey means to you. So how is it for you to get back? I know you've only got a limited number of fights to get back and fight here in New Jersey.
It was important for me to fight here before I was done. So it just kind of it checks off one more of those boxes that I can be happy, when I do hang them up. So yeah, New Jersey is my home state as much as I've been trying to get out my whole life. But these are my fans. This is where I cut my teeth as a young pro before I got to the UFC. I wanted to fight here, because it even though it's only a handful of miles away, right over to Manhattan, but still, I feel like Newark is my home arena, even though I'm 40 some odd miles from it.
Sure, and obviously your family, as you've detailed, has been through the ringer over the last year. Will they be in attendance for this fight?
Yeah, they will. My kids haven't been to too many fights. They've only been to two thus far. They came to my fight down in Florida in 2000 and was that 18 or something like that, and then they came to my fight in Vegas against Cerrone, the second one there. So, I my youngest was born in 2009, and then honestly, I've never been a huge fan of bringing babies to the events. So I didn't want to bring them when they were super little, and then it was like, oh well, if I bring the older ones, then the younger ones are they're gonna feel jealous. So things worked out in those last two, and now they're old enough where it's a lot easier to bring them, to the event and sometimes have them shuffled around, right? So that first card they came to, the last minute they were pulled from their seats, up in the bowl down to cage side, and like my wife and one of the women that works with PR had the two babies in their hands and they're sprinting and getting on an elevator. It's it'll be nice to be able to share it with them, and hopefully they're a good luck charm, and I have another good night.
How particularly excited are the kids, especially because your son went through all that he's gone through in the last year?
They're excited to come. They know this is what I do, and right, they've been around it their whole lives, so they've also seen a couple tough ones. So they watch no matter what. But yeah, it's like I said, it's more for me. Like they can, they're probably not gonna fully understand, right? And for a few more years of what this has meant to me and what I've been able to do. So at this point, it's like, hey, I'd like you to come and be a part of my night, and
We've also not had too many New York versus New Jersey fights, and this is a rare case of it, obviously. Do you feel any added, I don't know if it's pressure, but any interest in kind of representing New Jersey in that way?
Not even a little bit. Yeah, it's a fight, so that's all that matters to me. Is I need a willing dance partner on Saturday night.
And lastly, why is New Jersey pizza better than New York pizza?
Because we're willing to put pineapple on it. You got to do it right. You get the sweet from the pineapple. You get some spice from a jalapeno or pickled jalapeno, and then you get like some umami from a bacon. Listen, if I put pineapple on a pizza, it's going to be good, right?
I mean, you'll make it. I understand.
Yeah.
It's controversial.
It is controversial. That's how far I'll go into the controversy. So.
Thank you.
Jim, other side right here.
Yep.
Obviously, every fight we talk to you, it's like, pushing 50 UFC fights in this. You've almost done 50 training camps for UFC fights. But this one is probably one of the more unique ones, just given what's going on outside of it. So I guess I will never prepare for a fight, and I hope to God I never have to experience what you went through. So, what's it like balancing those two things? You have to prepare for, like you said, a fight. Mm-hmm. You also have this thing that's been looming over your family.
It's weird because it's almost like we're all out of it and in the clear now, which is great. But I was preparing to fight. Like I said to somebody the other day, like I got kind of like the Adrian Balboa speech from my wife. It wasn't as cool to like and you wouldn't have been able to put it on a T-shirt. But it was more so like, hey, you need to fucking go fight. But yeah, like I this is who I am and this is what I do. So for me, not being in the gym was hard. But like I need it. I need that push. I need that the grind of it. And it's almost like a little bit of therapy for me to go in and get a sweat. And I'm very like I mean I get tunnel vision in the octagon, but like I focus on what's in front of me. I'm not one of these people that's very good at multitasking, right? Like if it's in front of my face, I can deal with it. So like being able to switch that stuff off and hop on the mat and like do what I need to do, and then as soon as I'm done, then we focus back on whatever we need to. But that's carried me through some fights where there was some wild stuff going on. So like training was part of my way of dealing with the added stress.
And what do you make of Jared as an opponent? Because next year will mark 10 years for him in the UFC. Mm-hmm. And when he made his debut, you were already 10 years into your UFC run. So I guess what do you make of like Jared's overall skill set?
He's very talented. He's a great boxer. He uses wrestling really well. He's very crisp. I like his style. I like watching him fight. He's tough as nails. So these are the fights that get me really, really pumped up and fired up because I've seen my opponent fight a bunch and I've enjoyed watching them fight. So it's like, hey, like I want to go and I want to share 15 minutes with that guy and do the same thing, So yeah, it's a fight against a tough dude, and I'm pumped.
He's a new dad. I think he's like a new girl dad. And he brought it up. He goes, he understands what's going on with your family, but in his mind, when he makes the walk, like he can't care about that.
Oh, no, he absolutely not.
So that's the right attitude to have.
Absolutely. It's absolutely the right attitude to have. Like I said, I focus on what's right here. There have been plenty of things that were outside of my control that have happened throughout my life around fights and fight nights. I was literally just talking about sharing a card with my brother. That is in itself was hard when we did it at 124, and then doing it again at 128 on a day that he probably shouldn't have been fighting. Definitely shouldn't have been fighting. And to do it back to back was wild, but it's like, hey, I'm about to step into the octagon against the undefeated, Iranian national champ wrestler. Like this is not the moment to let any of that in. So yeah, that's 100% the mindset that he should have, and I don't expect him to carry that and any of that into fight night. It's like we can separate being a fighter and being a father.
I also saw on Instagram you took time out to kind of defend Nate Diaz's career.
Yeah.
I asked Jeremy and King Green about this because they've also like been doing this forever.
Mm.
Do you see like such a drastic difference in the way fans kind of treat fighters these days to like maybe back then? Because King, like Bobby and Jeremy are like, we'll just fight whoever. Like, it doesn't matter. Wins and losses don't really matter to us. Like, we want to win, but like, it's about a good fight and providing and making money and everything. And you took time out, I think, to say like, there's nothing average about what's Nate's
Absolutely
done.
not. Yeah. And it's not even so much the fans, honestly. It was another former fighter. And one of the best to ever do it, right? It's like you go into a room and there's 6,000 of the tallest people ever in this room, and a guy who's in like the top 5 says a guy who's in the top 10% is average height. Like it doesn't make any sense, Like Nate's Nate's career is he's done what a vast majority of UFC fighters couldn't do. And if we're gonna, like you want to talk crap about him, about something else. But like you can't say that main eventing whatever it was, like eight cards, fought for the title, had some massive cards with Connor and stuff like that. Like a huge fan favorite, fighter favorite. Again, and like I think the knock was like, oh well, his win percentage dropped. But if you look at anybody that gets like over 20 fights in the UFC and starts approaching 30, obviously they're the outliers. We can't take John Jones and GSP and put them in the category of the typical fighter. Like as you start to get to 30 fights, dude, you start stacking injuries. Things come up, family things, this, that, all the other things. So it's like it gets harder to keep a super high win percentage, and it all looks the same, right? Like everybody's percentage at that point looks the same, and there's probably reasons, right? There's probably very specific reasons why that occurs. This is not a sport for the faint of heart. It's a literal meat grinder, and to be in the organization for what you're approaching, like if you could keep up with 3 fights a year, which most of us can't, right? Like I have under 3 fights a year, my average. You're in the UFC for over 10 years. Like, an NFL player having a career for 11, 12 years is an average. It's like let's not talk shit about one another and kind of make stuff up just for attention on social media.
You happy to see him get that big payday against Mike Perry? Nate's fight against Mike Perry. You happy to see him get another big payday?
Oh yeah, go for it. It's like I'm not gonna be upset about fighters getting to fight. When it comes down to it, I am always going to side with the fighters. Initially, obviously there are plenty of guys that fuck up and they deserve to get called out for it. But yeah, like I want us as athletes to have good opportunities, to get paid well, to all that stuff. I mean, why would we not?
Jim, over here. Hi. You mentioned that your son Wyatt, he beat it. What's his long term? I mean, what's his long term health outlook?
Yeah. So he had rhabdomyosarcoma. It's a cancer of the soft tissue. It was tucked into his eye socket and sinus, kind of. Pretty aggressive. There's a couple different types. Fortunately, he had one that was slightly less aggressive. But like things happened like super fast. I mean, he complained about something in his eye. It might have been the last day of July, and within a couple of days there was a lump, and then it just started to get a little bit bigger. And by the end of August, it was like, my wife and it was 5 alarm. Like the alarms are going off. Like we need to do something because nobody gave us any answers. So a vast majority of it came out when they did the biopsy. It kind of just popped out on its own. So we went through 2 courses of chemo and a 5-week course of proton radiation. Both have potential effects that could come up later in life. He is 14 years old, so there's like he doesn't like hearing it, but puberty is one of those things that like you're concerned about when you're pumping a kid full of that fucking poison. But he'll get scans every 3 weeks. Or not 3 weeks, 3 months or so for I think it's like a year. That'll be probably a CAT scan, MRI, and PET scan, just to make sure that nothing survived. And then it'll go from 3 months to 6 months, and then he'll be getting some scans until he's in his early 20s. So just for to make sure that it doesn't come back. But this type of cancer typically doesn't come back. They can't say that it won't,
Mhm.
but it's pretty. It's one of those types that like once you beat it, you kind of beat it.
Has it affected his vision?
It started kind of just pushing on some of the tissue.
Okay.
So it was like kind of he had some flesh in the way, and it started to affect him a little bit. But it never got into anything like the tumors. They typically present behind the eyeball, so then they get tied up in the optic nerve, and then it's an absolute mess. So it's like you had this really shitty thing happen, this 1 in a million thing, but we also like you won the lottery on a couple of the things with it. I mean, it location wise and just how it kind of wanted to, the pressure behind it. So it, like I said, it kind of like popped like a zit, and most of it came out, and yeah, and he's just he's a stud. He's an amazing young man. So.
That's awesome. You mentioned, I read another story, I guess, this week where you talked about how you were kind of a little more fortunate financially, but the co-pays and things like that do pile up when you're paying for your own insurance. Is there frustration with the company, with UFC, that they do not provide even basic?
No, not at all. I've been doing this for so. It's like it is what it is, right? So we are contractors, and that's the way it goes. And there's. I'm not sure in some of the other organizations how all of that works. Like, is family covered with some of their insurance? I don't know. I know the system that we have in this country is completely fucked. I don't think that the whole like free healthcare thing is necessarily the way, because you hear horror stories. It's like we acted quickly, and he got treatment quickly, and he needed it quickly, right? Like, because we were lucky that it was just where it was, and it tends to spread to the lungs. So, some of these other places, I have friends that live in Canada, and they're like, yeah, I've been waiting for, a year for a knee surgery or something like that. And it's like, if we drug our feet, then there's the chance of it going somewhere else. So I'm happy that we were able to do things aggressively and actually take action. But yeah, the whole I don't know if this is the place to go on a rant about insurance and how they've got their fingers in the in the web of politicians, and we need to just clean house and get rid of bureaucracy and all that stuff. But yeah, I could if you want.
My last question is this. I mean, you've been around for so long. I'm sure you've been asked this before, but in your mind, what is the number one reason for your longevity in UFC and in MMA career, obviously?
That's a really difficult one. Because like I've seen guys who had 100% had the potential to come to this level and fight and do well, get injured with stupid stuff, right? So like maybe there's some luck, right? Like I never had a group, another set of my training partners knock into me and hurt me. Like my jiu-jitsu instructor Brian McLaughlin, he blew his knee out that way. Another group on the mat bumped into him. Stupid things happen in training, and a lot of times I think it does come from ego. I think that probably if I could narrow it down and say like try to do this, I think it was just the small gym. Back in the day, we had, when I trained at AMA, it was 6 guys in the UFC that trained together at the same time. And then, you dealt with some of the bigger gym drama, and that broke the team up, and I started my own place, and then things condensed even smaller. And for the last dozen years, I've had a very tight-knit group of guys that I can trust, and I can, and I can train with, and I can come in on a bad day and I can train with. And if, some random killer from, the mountains over there and, on the border of Asia and Europe comes over and doesn't speak a lick of English, and they want to make a name for themselves in the gym, And it's like, well, I'm 2 weeks out from a fight having a bad day, and now I got to deal with somebody trying to legitimately fight me, on the mats. Like, I think that, yeah, like having a small gym, being able to control that training, and not doing stupid stuff just for the sake of it. Like, this is hard, so let's do it. I've always tried to train like a professional. And I think that's really kind of it. It's like, I've trained with guys preparing for the NFL Combine and stuff like that, and and my strength and conditioning coach Martin Rooney, he's been around like all those athletes from in all the sports, and yeah, his words of advice were always like, like to be a pro, and it's like a football player is not going full bore, right before a game, or 3 days before a game, right? And like every snap that they take is with a purpose. So like every role that I take is that I do is with a purpose, right? Every training partner that I train with, I go with them, and they don't like it when I say it, but I call them my tools, and I use them specifically. There are guys that like, hey, they're better wrestlers. So depending on how I'm feeling, like if I'm feeling good and froggy, then like I'm gonna try to out wrestle the best wrestler on the mat. And if I'm not feeling that great that day, well, then I'm gonna exploit every weakness you have, and I'm gonna I'm gonna drag you down, and I'm gonna try to sub you out or something like that, right? So like I use my training partners, and I use every round specifically just to try to work something to get better, but also do it in the safest way possible.
Hey Jim, right here. So I just wanted to say, Randy Couture, Anderson Silva, and George St. Pierre. Those were three of the champions when you made your UFC debut. Over the course of all that time since the UFC 89, we have seen the UFC consistently grow each year, but the one consistent thing in the UFC has been you, from UFC 100, 200 to 300. What would you credit to the key to your consistency?
Not knowing how to do anything else. I honestly, I think it's just it's lifestyle. I enjoy this, and there are a lot of fighters that absolutely love fighting just as much as I do. And there are some, like GSP kind of famously always says, he's like, I really didn't like fighting all that much. I enjoy it. I enjoy the pressure. I enjoy the test, right? Like I'm a very performance driven person. It's not about just winning for me. It's about winning in my way, the way that I want it to happen. But like, I also take that same mindset and I have it towards everything else that I do. So like when I'm done at the gym, nowadays it's a little bit harder for me. But like when I'm done at the gym, I'm going and doing other stuff. I'm not sitting on the couch and binge watching Netflix or playing video games. And I know that some of the guys are like streamers and making money like doing this stuff, which is crazy. But like I don't live a sedentary lifestyle. Like a professional fighter could train hard and still live a sedentary lifestyle by going home and sitting down and laying down all day. You get 3-4 hours of like legit training in, and then you go sit on your ass the rest of the day. It's not a good way to recover from what we're doing. So, I think that for me, it's just like I get my training in, and I focus on my training when I'm there, and then I focus on the other things outside of training when I'm not there, and that balance has helped me like always have that fire for the fight and enjoyment for the fight, and it's also again, help me like recover from the daily training and getting beat up. And I wish it was such an easy, I wish I could sell it, like this is how to do it, but I haven't figured that out yet.
And one more follow up. How you said it gets a little bit tougher getting into training just as the time goes on. Does it get tougher getting excited for an opponent sometimes now since you've seen everybody and seen everything, or how do you still stay excited for like your next fight and the next guy? And who do you at this stage in your career? How do you look at who you want to fight?
Honestly, it's not even really about them. It's about me. And that's kind of the thing. It's weird, I guess. For me being a prize fighter, right? To make what I make to show, I have to win, right? Like when you add in camp and you add in taxes and you add in all this stuff, right? Like to make your show money, you got to win. I just I don't know. Like I'm not just out there just to win. I'm out there to win to make me happy, to make me like excited with the way that it happens. That's why like you could look up, you could type it into your computer right now, Jim Miller fence grab. You're not gonna see a fucking picture of me grabbing the fence. Jim Miller eye poke. You're not gonna see a picture of me poking somebody in the eye, because I wouldn't be able to sleep at fucking night. Like I honestly, I wouldn't. I'm harder on myself than any of the trolls on the internet could be. So for me, it's like, every guy is an opportunity, is a test, is a skill set that I get to test myself against. But really, it just comes down to me performing in a way that's gonna like make me fucking satisfied with the outcome. And it's like, yeah, I've had a 26-second knockout, and that was great, but I broke my thumb. That sucked. So that wasn't perfect. It's like, oh, I had a fight of the year in 2012 against Joe, and it's like, yeah, but I didn't finish him. So like, I don't feel like I'm ever gonna have the perfect fight and be 100% satisfied, but I'm always shooting for it.
Thank you so much for everything
No
you've
problem.
done for the sport, Jim.
Thank you.